Hello everyone, good to see you again. Today for our second video, we are going to make a classic, authentic Newport fish chowder, seafood chowder. We're gonna make it a fish chowder. We're not using clams, we're gonna make it with fish. So for that I have some nice clean bassa fillets. I have some salted cod, which is the authentic old-fashioned chowder fish that they use. I have one beautiful big shrimp here, and of course some Pacific salmon. Everything is already cut up and cleaned and ready to go. Also, I'm gonna make a roux, which is right here, butter and flour, which I'm gonna start that right here. I'm gonna put my butter in here while I explain the rest of the ingredients, and put my flour in. That's about 2 tablespoons of butter and about 3 tablespoons of flour. And I'm just gonna, without making a mess obviously, I'm just gonna incorporate the two. So basically I need to let all the flour be coated with the butter. And the roux is used to thicken soups, thicken sauces. There we go. We're just gonna let that cook a little bit until it browns just a bit. Now for the chowder, I have 1 medium onion diced, some garlic, about 4 cloves diced, some black pepper, 1 can of corn, 2 medium-sized carrots that I chopped, 2 small potatoes, and basically that's it. And some milk, of course. We need the milk, that's the liquid, and some chives and parsley as garnish. So once the roux is done, I'm gonna let it brown a little bit more. And we're gonna set it aside and we'll be ready for it after. You know, when it starts to bubble just a bit, then you'll know it's ready. And it's gonna brown just a bit. You don't want it to brown too much. We don't want to cook it, but we don't want to cook it completely, and we don't want it raw completely either. There. Starting to bubble. And I'm using clarified butter. You could use regular butter or vegetable oil, but I'm usually roux made with butter tastes better, so I'm using clarified butter, or some people call it ghee, which is the same thing as butter that's been clarified. That's about it. So this is done. I'm gonna put this aside, turn my stove on here, and start making my chowder. I'm gonna start with some olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, of course. I always use that. Well, not always. Sometimes I use grapeseed oil, vegetable oil. Some onion. My onion, I'm gonna put it in. My garlic. Okay, our onions and garlic are caramelizing. Just softening up a bit. I'm gonna add my potatoes now. I dice my potatoes and soak them in water so they don't change color a lot, and then I just strain them. So this is a classic Newport chowder. Now most chowder places will serve a classic Newport chowder with clams. I'm making it with real fish, with regular fish, like they used to in the old days. So the difference between this and the Manhattan chowder is one is made with a tomato base and this one is a milk base, as you can see, milk and roux. And I prefer this one to the tomato one because I find it tastier, heartier, and I feel better eating it. So I'm gonna add my carrots and my corn. And these are classic chowder ingredients. Potatoes, carrots, and corn are your classic Newport chowder ingredients. And because the salted cod, we're using salted cod, it's salted and we just washed it a bit, we're not going to use a lot of salt today. And we'll taste it. If it's not salty enough, we'll just add a bit, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be salty just fine. And this is coming together perfectly here. And this doesn't take long. A chowder doesn't really take a long time to cook. Because everything is cut up small and there. Right now I'm going to add my roux. Now some people add the roux after they add the milk. I'm going to add it now because I want it to brown a little bit more with the vegetables and coat everything. And I'm pretty sure that's plenty of roux there. And at this time we can lower the heat a bit because it's on high. Maybe lower it to medium-low. And now I'm going to add my milk. I'm going to add just enough milk to cover everything up, which is basically 1 bag. I would say about a little over 1 liter. And now everything is going to start to thicken up. Again, I did lower my heat to medium-low, so I don't want anything to burn. And you see the roux is melting quite well. There's no lumps. And the more it boils, the smoother it will get. And that's the nature of roux. If it's well incorporated with the butter or the oil and let it boil a little bit, just like as I did, this is what's going to happen. When you put it into your soup or your milk, it will slowly dissolve, and as you heat it up, it'll get smoother and smoother. There you go. And now once the soup starts to boil, it'll start to thicken up. It's been about 2 minutes and it's starting to get really hot, and you can see I keep stirring, but it's starting to thicken up. You see that? And it's going to thicken up a little more and a little more. And look at this. Now this is a perfect consistency for a perfect chowder. Now I'm going to start adding my fish. I'm going to break it up a little bit, not much, because I like chunky pieces of cod. Again, this is salted cod that I've washed. This time I did not boil it. I just washed it several times because I want the salt in it. I don't want all the salt to be removed. Just gonna break it up into nice big bite-sized chunks. I like the big salted cod. I like the big bites. When it's too small, there we go. And my nice big basa fillets that I've cut up in 1-inch squares. Those are fantastic. These I'm just going to drop them like that. And I washed them, so that's why there is water there. And my salmon. And again, this is a nice full side fillet of Pacific salmon. I'm going to stir this up a bit. See how nice and thick that got? And I don't want this to burn, so I have to make sure it's on low heat. And that is a beautiful, beautiful, thick, consistent chowder. And of course, we're still going to taste for salt and make sure it is salty enough. If not, I'm going to lower my heat to minimum because it is boiling already. So I'm going to let this simmer a bit. Go wash my hands and I'll be right back to finish it off. At this point, I just washed my hands and came right back. It's not going to take long to cook everything. Maybe 15 minutes, simmer on very low so it doesn't get stuck in the bottom, and occasionally I have to stir it. And this is our beautiful, beautiful chowder. And I did mention I still have to check for seasoning for salt. So, well, actually, let me add my pepper first. A lot of black pepper, very important. And if you want, you can also add a bit of nutmeg for this, but I'm not going to because I don't want to change the flavor of the fish much. And it's just perfect right now, just as it is. I'm gonna add my shrimp. This is a very large shrimp, and this is just one because I want my wife to have this fantastic shrimp, so it's gonna be a nice surprise in the chowder. And now I'm gonna chop my parsley. Chop it very fine. It's nice, we're lucky we can still get some nice fresh parsley during this coronavirus pandemic. There's so many ingredients that we still can get, and so many we can't, but it's okay. Nice. And that's gonna add a nice smell, nice sweetness, nice garden flavor to our chowder. And of course, my onions. My green onions are for garnish. And maybe a couple of croutons and some green onions. There we go. Put this in here. And we're ready to serve. We'll just sprinkle some of that on the surface. And our chowder, maybe another 5 minutes or so, and it will be ready. And believe me, this is magnificent. Authentic Newport fish chowder. With corn, potatoes, carrots, salted cod, Pacific salmon, and Atlantic basa. And look at this. Nice, chunky pieces of fish. It smells delightful, and it's going to taste out of this world. I'm going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes, and I'll see you then. So our chowder is ready. It's been boiling, simmering, gently simmering, because we don't want it to burn. And look at this. A beautiful, beautiful hearty chowder. Now before I do anything, as I promised, I will taste it for salt. It's perfect. It didn't need any salt at all. The salted cod is fantastic. And again, This beautiful shrimp is already cooked, as you can see. It's a large shrimp, and this one is going to go to my wife. But I'm just going to show you how to serve this. And there's quite a large bowl here. So we're going to go like this. Make sure we have lots of liquid and lots of beautiful vegetables and lots of nice big chunks of fish. That's plenty. And of course, our homemade croutons. These are sourdough croutons, and you can see that video. You can see how we made the croutons with the Caesar salad that we made. And fresh croutons, they're fantastic. And like so. Maybe a little bit more. And fresh Newport fish chowder or seafood chowder, ready to enjoy. I'm gonna go to the table, enjoy this, and I'm gonna keep this warm here, and I'll see you at the table. It's time to taste our chowder. Newport fish chowder, and it looks magnificent. It's delicious. I just had a piece of the basa. It's nice, sweet, meaty, very tender. Just absolutely delicious. A true chowder, just the way I like it. Salmon, the same. I want to fish for some of that salted fish, salted cod. Let me see. There we go. Very nice. Beautiful chowder flavor. The vegetables are well cooked and still has a little bite to them, which is fantastic. Our croutons have soaked the chowder. Just so good. That's all I have to say. Please do try this. Believe me, you'll enjoy it a lot, especially if you like seafood. It's a hearty, healthy, homemade meal, and you can enjoy it, especially during, this type of cool autumn weather or cool spring weather. That'll make you feel right at home and warm all over. Please do like, subscribe, and share our videos. Stay safe and practice social distancing, and stay healthy. And until next time, bye for now. See you soon.